To this story now, the local government elections are just weeks away, but service delivery remains a problem in most municipalities. And political parties have their work cut out, trying to convince voters that they will make a difference. Well, for a closer look at the country's municipalities, Miyelani Holeni from Ntiyiso Consulting joins me live. Thanks for your time. So, you see service delivery protests all over South Africa and people complaining that politicians are not doing enough to address their concerns. I'm talking to you about the state of municipalities so we can get the facts here. How are we doing? Has there been any improvement or not?
Good evening, Shahan, and good evening to the listeners. I think the question is kind of how long is a piece of string? Because we've seen a mixed bag of how municipalities have performed over the last 20-odd years. And we've seen municipalities that have excelled. We've seen municipalities that have kind of gotten by. And we've also seen municipalities that have really struggled. Of the 226 local municipalities, as well as the 44-odd districts, as well as the cities, you always will see a mixed bag. Of course, service delivery is one of the core things that municipalities must excel at. And part of service delivery is around building infrastructure. And some of the municipalities have really struggled to put decent infrastructure that can carry the local economy, where you've seen businesses in some of the municipalities opting to go to other places where they believe they would find better services. And of course, the residents cannot move anywhere easily. They have to make do with whatever services that they receive. And of course, the excellent municipalities must be commended for what they have been able to achieve through the meager budgets at times.
Is there good reason for slow service delivery?
Well, I think let's go back to the issue of, within each and every municipality, we need to have basic things which are in place to be able to deliver what, of course, is basic services. Electricity, water, refuse collection, sewer, street lights, and all of those things that would make a municipality function generally. And those are even considered as basics. So is there good reason? I think there are different ways to, we should have those things in place. Let me start there. But to arrive at a point where all of those basic services are delivered decently, it takes quite a bit of doing. Firstly, we speak of capability always. And I think capability, to break it down, is a function of leadership. It's a function of strategy within the municipality. And of course, the proverbial service delivery, which is about delivering services. So all of those three things combined equal the capability of whoever is running the municipalities, be it the political leaders, be it the officials who are in the administration side. All of them, there must be a basic capability that is able to take the municipality from A to B, of course, to be able to deliver services. And of course, we want municipalities to start excelling and be a bit more creative so that they can sustain the growth of local economy and even lead, in some cases, the economic development aspirations of the country.
Every year the Auditor General's municipal report paints a pretty bleak picture. We're often told we're on the verge of a crisis, the verge of collapse at municipalities. Let's try to draw this now to this election, because ultimately political parties are put into power. They put people in charge of municipalities and they are supposed to fix it. But that is not happening fast enough for South Africans. Is it the same promises that we hear often, but no delivery? Because you seem a bit optimistic about delivery, and we see communities out on the streets. So what is it? Is it that people are being dramatic, or do they have the right to say nothing is being done in our communities?
Absolutely. I would not say that people are being dramatic, because if there's raw sewer running down the street, I think, there's nothing to be excited about, except, to be upset about, not having the raw sewer being piped, into the treatment plants. When there's no clean water, of course, there cannot be excitement. When there's no electricity, the same applies. So the optimism, at least, is something that one needs to always have a little bit of it, even at times with a pinch of salt. And of course, every political party have their manifestos that they've drawn up, and all of them look great. I must say they make for good reading, but the test is always in the implementation. So what I've at least alluded to in that capability is what needs to be applied to each one of the manifestos, such that whatever is being promised or whatever are the problems that are plaguing the communities are able to be brought to an end and to start bringing a service delivery. Of course, that capability lies in the skills, lies in the people that are working within the space, lies in the ability to cooperate even with the private sector, and lies as well in the intergovernmental relations framework to be able to work well with the likes of ESCOM, the likes of the water boards, and the other service providers within there. And that is a model that if we get it right, it will be able to take municipalities further, because the pressure that sits with some of the municipal officials and the political leaders can be immense at times, but the ability to cooperate with various stakeholders who have expertise in various areas can at least help municipalities to move a step further. So again, it's about capacity building. So that capacity that is required within municipalities is not always resident within municipalities, and it needs to be sourced from different places, and even from international players that are coming in with vast experience in different places. And of course, we always speak of working with the private sector, which is service providers, in this case, such as Ntiyiso Consulting and many other organizations that are wanting to make a difference within the service delivery in municipalities.
Well-run municipalities, which party is doing better in this regard?
There's always, whenever we look for municipalities that are well-run, we always must look at, of course, the service delivery aspect. And we must look at as well in terms of how they run their finances. And typically, you can delineate this by provinces, but you also find as well there are green shoots in other provinces. So typically, I would say there's always the top 3 to top 5 municipalities in every province, which are really doing their best to try and move the town from maybe difficult circumstances to become a thriving municipality. So well-run municipalities as well are a function of the management that sits in there. It's function of the vision that as well as the strategy that is put into action. So we can put it by province, whether we go to the Western Cape, or we also come back to Gauteng or go to Mpumalanga, Northern Cape as well, and the other provinces as well. There's always the best municipalities that are there. Of course, it's not enough to have the top 5 or the top 3. You want to have all the municipalities across the provinces working at full steam and full capacity to deliver services. But we also should understand that the far-flung municipalities are typically dependent on grants and are not able to attract the right skills to be able to run various things, whether it's technical services, the financial side of things, and the governance in some of those municipalities tends to be a challenge. So well-run municipalities obviously are what we want all across, and I believe is what the manifestos of each and every political party are promising.
Okay, I don't know whether you didn't hear my question or you're avoiding answering it, because the DA says that they have some of the best, most well-run municipalities in the country. The ANC would argue the same as well. So the question is, which party is doing better when it comes to running municipalities in South Africa?
Yeah, quite frankly, I think, in terms of arbitrating, I did hear your question very clearly, Shahan. Of course, you'll find a lot more clean audits, municipalities with more clean audits in the Western Cape. You also find municipalities in Mpumalanga which have clean audits. So I think for me is that clean audits are excellent and is what all of the municipalities must deliver. But we always must look at what the extent of the service delivery is within those municipalities. And I think that's where the test is always going to be at. Clean audit is one measure. It's a lagging measure which looks behind. But for more forward-looking measures, look at how those municipalities are translating a clean audit into service delivery, which benefits all of the people. If you're talking about unrest, we see all the time with the various indexes that are being taken of unrest across, the different places. And even in some of the best municipalities, there will always be some sort of unhappiness, which shows that each time that there are improvements, the bar also goes up as well. So we can take it by the Western Cape with clean audits. We can bring it home perhaps, to Gauteng with some of the largest, cities here by budget. We can also look at, the number of kilometers of roads built. We can look at the number of street lights, that have been constructed, or number of houses, and so on and so forth. So the measures we can cut in a number of different ways. But what is of critical importance is, are people receiving the services that are intended for them?
Got you. Thank you so much for your insight. Appreciate it. Miyelani Holeni from Ntiyiso Consulting.